Hello guys and welcome to the channel. I've decided to do kind of an experiment, these negotiation tips for you out there. And this is an experimental format. I will do some of these videos and I will see what the reaction is like. If you want to see more of these types of videos, please let me know in the comments, and obviously like and subscribe if you like the content, and it will help me a lot. So the tip for today is, oh, my IT is not working. There we go. So if you don't ask, you don't get. A lot of people that I see in the negotiation space don't actually negotiate because they don't ask for what they want. What are you afraid of is the key question, really, that keeps popping up, because people just don't ask for what they want. They are either afraid of a rejection, or they're afraid of loss, or afraid of exposure. Yes, those things are possible. However, you're very unlikely to lose everything. The worst case scenario is just that. It's worst case scenario. The probabilities of that happening is fairly low. And what a lot of people are afraid of is that moment of loss. That what they've negotiated isn't a great deal. But if you do your research correctly, and if you've done all the due diligence correctly, you have nothing to fear. You are in good position, and you shouldn't be worried about what the other side might do, because you've got your strategy, and you know what you want, because you know the value of what you're asking for and what you're getting. Now, it's not always the case that you might get what you ask for, but certainly it will help you to be nearer that, rather than if you don't ask at all. Because a lot of times people just don't ask at all. A case in point, in a salary negotiation, I've got an example coming up. Most people will say, well, I have I want to ask for salary, but they're not going to go for it, or that voice in the back of your head says, well, I'm not going to accept that. So it's very difficult for people. So they just don't ask. And it's pretty terrible, really. So as long as you have a good foundation on what you're basing your assumption on your case for that particular want, you should be able to negotiate it up to the other side. So let's have a look at an example of earnings as we start talking about it. Who would earn more? So there are Bobby and Mary, both graduated college, and both start at their job, and let's say in London, and they work for 41 and 37 years. However, Mary negotiated a higher salary than Bobby. After so many years, they work until their retirement. Let's assume an annual percentage increase of 3% on each salary. Who would earn more over their lifetime of work? Now, considering that Mary's working a lot less time, a couple of years, 4 years, who would earn more? So now we'll look at the results, and actually Mary can retire early by 4 years, and she would have earned 166k more than Bobby. If that isn't a reason to try to negotiate, I don't know what is. Because effectively, it's free money. You're setting yourself up for a better future if you start negotiating early. And of course, with jobs, as they do change, you take less, you take more. But you should always be negotiating. You should always be asking for more. So, what you really got to think about: what is important to you in the negotiation? What is it that you're after? What are your goals? What are your drivers? Is it a longer term contract? Is it a more flexible rates? Is it a quicker delivery? Whatever it may be, what is your key component that is important to you? You should ask for. it's very important to nail that down earlier on, because ultimately the other side will ask you what is it that you want, and if you tell them the wrong thing, they will try to offer you something that isn't necessarily great for you, and then you end up in frustration later down the line in the contract because it's not what you wanted, and they've offered it to you, and you're thinking, well, that's not what I want. It's a very complex picture. So it's very important to define what you want. On the personal side, what you might want to do is define what is important to you. Yes, you can work and earn a significant amount of money, but there's always that curve. The more time you spend at work, the more you earn. So what you're going to remember is what is important to you and how flexible are you going to be. Sometimes it's not all about the money. It's about finding alternative arrangements for you and to be happy, for you to get more out of life. I mean, my personal example, I was working full time for a large multinational, and I was working 5 days a week, and a lot of times I was working weekends and certainly thinking about work, a lot of pressures. And I thought to myself, well, I'm not following my dreams of spending more time with the family, setting up negotiation training, and this is something I wanted to do. So I came to an arrangement. I started to negotiate with my employer, where I basically cut down from 5 days a week to 3 days a week, working slightly longer hours. However, what that meant is that I worked 3 days now instead of 5. So I've gained 2 extra days for effectively just cutting 20% of my pay. I've gained 40% of the time, but I've lost 20% of my pay. So, it's those types of situations. You need to understand what is important to you. In terms of flexibility, do you want more time off? Do you want to do a sabbatical? Do you want them to pay for your training? Do you have health insurance? Do you have a company car, etc., etc., etc.? All those things add up. What is it that you want? It's very, very important to get that from the outset, really. So, thank you very much. I hope that this tip has been useful. Please do like and subscribe if you like the content. If you've got any improvements, as I mentioned earlier, do let me know in the comments. I will try to put this quite a few videos out over the next couple of months. So hopefully you're on board with it, and you can enjoy those and implement those in your life. Thank you very much, and see ya.